everyone, welcome to Armageddon, the series where the players have to remain cooler than a polar bear floating on an iceberg. We're happy to broadcast from Berlin. I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams and I'm commentating alongside the lovely International Master Ivanka Huska.
Thank you very much, Simon. It's so exciting to be here because it's day 3, and you know what that means? It's Elimination Day. And yesterday we had a very exciting day as well, as 2 players got sent down to the lower bracket, and also we had our very first Armageddon in the Europe and Africa series. Let's take a look at the recap. The second day kicked off with a duel between creative geniuses Richard Rapport and Jordan van Foreest. The match began well for Jordan when he utilized his rooks to trap Richard's king in a checkmating net. But some smooth calculation in the second game allowed Richard to score a clutch win with the black pieces to level the match and take it to Armageddon. In the Armageddon, Jordan with the white pieces was in a must-win situation, but a solid Richard calmly simplified the position to eventually win the game and decide the match.
The second match of the day saw Matthias Bluebaum take on the legendary Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. In the first game, Maxime played brilliantly, controlled the game and had a smooth victory. This left Matthias needing to win in the second game. He played the French defence. It didn't work great, got a little bit messy, but Maxime kept his cool and got the victory, proceeding to the next round.
This is Armageddon Championship Series 2023, the ultimate chess showdown of the year. The first 3 tournaments have already finished. The Americas with finalists Wesley So and Sam Shankland. Asia and Oceania with winners Nordibek Abdusattorov and Gukesh. And a special qualifying stage, Women's Week, where Bibisara Asalbaeva and Humpy Kaneru showed their best. And this week, our 4th tournament, Europe and Africa Regional Series.
8 of the strongest players compete for a spot in the grand final with a chance to win the Armageddon Championship. All our events are broadcast live from the World Chess Club Berlin on Unter den Linden. This is make or break. Who will make the cut and go through? Don't go anywhere. This is Armageddon. So it's getting very exciting. This is the last event before the grand final. We have some great players lined up. Let's have a look at the players in the competition. Some really big names there, Ivanka.
I know, this is like the who's who of European chess. You have Jan Krzysztof Duda, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Richard Rapport. I mean, these guys are over 2,700, as is the UK's #1 Michael Adams, and of course 2 online qualifiers, Matthias Bluebaum, Alexander Donchenko, and not to underestimate Vincent Keimer, just 18 years old, and Jordan van Foreest. And time to mention our partner. The official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series is IT.com Domains, a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
And let's also have a look at how the current situation is in the competition with our bracket, and it's a very exciting day today because we're dealing with the lower bracket. So everyone who's playing today has already lost the match, and that means if they lose today they are kicked out, and rumor has it that's my job. I've got to make sure they exit the building. But it's going to be exciting, it's going to be tense, it's going to be Armageddon.
And take a look at these delightful matchups. We have Michael Adams against Alexander Donchenko, and of course Jordan van Foreest against Matthias Bluebaum. Ooh, let's take a deep dive in the first pair.
So the first matchup of the day is Mickey Adams, a legend of English chess, against Alexander Donchenko. Now, these 2 players apparently have never played before, so it's going to be sort of youth versus age here, but it's going to be so exciting, Ivanka, and I think we should have a deeper look at the players.
Yeah, and there we have the rating favourite, Michael Adams. He's 51 years old, became a grandmaster at 17 years old. Blitz rating of 27.11, and also 7-time British champion, FIDE World Championship finalist 2004, and basically been amongst the world's best for over 30 years. Let's hear more about Mickey in his own words.
Hi, I'm Michael Adams, a chess player from England. I started off in chess when I was taught by my father when I was 6-7 years old. He wanted to teach me drafts, but chess was a more appealing game for me. I just found the pieces a lot more interesting, and once I learned the game, I won my first schools tournament and went on to play in a national event and performed quite well there. And then when I played in weekend tournaments against other players and saw the lifestyle that they were enjoying, that was a passion for me in chess. Chess, often events are very intense when you're taking place, but sometimes you have periods of free time in between events for reading, running, watching sports, rugby and cricket in particular. So yeah, use that time for events. Also, sometimes my wife was travelling with me to quite a lot of events, particularly in the earlier stage of my career, so that was great for me to have support and to keep family life going that way.
Mickey's been a legend of English chess for many a year, and once he was asked in an interview what's the best thing about being a professional chess player, and he said the ability to avoid getting a proper job, and he's really excelled in that over the years. But his opponent is a fantastic player as well. Let's have a look now at Alexander Donchenko, who's only 25 years old, was a grandmaster at the age of 16, and is the third strongest chess player in Germany. He qualified for this event by winning the Armageddon online competition, and let's hear more about this great player.
I'm Grandmaster Alexander Donchenko from Germany. I've been playing chess in tournaments for 17 years. I've known how to play chess almost my entire life. I was introduced to it by my grandmother, one of the many people in my family who plays chess. It was probably when I was around 4 years old, but I don't even remember it anymore. Basically, ever since I started playing tournaments, my whole life has been dedicated to it, and I knew very early on that I tried to make it my profession as well. The thing that attracts me most to it is the competitiveness, that it's a very fair, very complicated fight between two people on a mental level. It is, let's say, a game with very clear rules, and at the same time there's infinite possibilities to play, and to get that high when you win a good game, and to know that you put in a lot of mental effort, and that really pays off. I'm competitive, and I think it's a very good trait to have.
Fearsome competitor there, and we are less than 1 minute from the start of play. So let's remind ourselves of the rules. The players will be playing 2 games of a blitz at a time control of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And if the match is still tied after these 2 games, then it will be decided by the crowd favourite of
Armageddon. And the rules of Armageddon is that white gets more time, 5 minutes, black gets 4 minutes. There's no increment, that means no time added on after each move, but white has to win that game. And now we're going to have a look at another very important person, the arbiter, and that is Anastasia, and she's going to make sure that no funny business is going on, which I'm sure there won't be. 10 seconds away now in our beautiful studio, and you can see Mickey has the advantage of the white pieces. This is like having a serve in tennis. The loser of this match is out of Armageddon for good, and they're off.
And Mickey opening with his trademark King's Pawn, and Donchenko also replying with his Sicilian defense. And Mickey is very well known in English chess circles for having a very well worked out repertoire. He's so fearsome with the white pieces.
Yes, and we get a very exciting start to the game. As Ivanka mentioned, this is the Sicilian opening, one of the most exciting and cutthroat openings that there is. This move from Mickey looks a little bit odd because you normally get your bishops out first, but Mickey wants to at some point bring his king to the queen side. The knight there attacks black's queen. The black queen has to go backwards, and now Mickey offering the exchange of queens. Donchenko avoiding that option.
Yeah, Mickey really going to try to establish a dark square bind. Now, I have to say one thing about Michael Adams. He has a nickname over the world, and that is the Spider, because he is an expert at weaving a web of positional mastery and confusing his opponents, whereas Donchenko also has a very similar style, but tends to open with more solid openings.
And they're clearly still in their preparation. Chess is a very tough game. You've got three parts of the game. The opening, that's what they're in now. The middle game, where all the pieces are battling each other, and the end part. And the opening, you've got to try to memorize your setups, know exactly what kind of strategies you want to do. And White's got a bit more space in this position. That last move is just giving the queen somewhere to go to. And Donchenko now bringing up the pawn, and a very aggressive move there, but this is still theory. This has still been seen in other games, so they're following other competitive games so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, I've been very impressed by the way Donchenko handled the opening stage in his match against Keimer. The openings really worked out well for him. It was what happened later in the middle game, in the closing stages, when that clock was ticking, that things went wrong for Alexander Donchenko.
I'm amazed by the heart rate of Mickey. Is this the lowest we've ever seen? Are you all right, Mickey? Wakey, wakey. He's under 70, okay, around 70 in such a stressful game like this. That is quite unheard of. Remember, the loser is going to go home. They're out of the competition. And Donchenko's also got a very low heart rate as well. The evaluation bar really starting to like Mickey's position. That's the white bar on the right-hand side. If it's in White's favour, it means that White is doing well. And Mickey doing Mickey things here. And I'm not sure where he's going to put his king. I expect he's going to go kingside castling. That's the last thing he needs to do, really, to get out of this opening stage.
Yeah, I also suspect the same. And there is a pawn that's up for grabs at the side of the board. I don't think Mickey will capture that just yet, but it's something that Donchenko will have to watch out for the rest of the game. And there you go, Simon. Your prediction proved incredibly correct. It is castling kingside.
I'm always correct, not. But I think the problem that Donchenko has here is, where does he put his king? The king is the most precious piece. You've got to get it safe. You normally do this special move called castling, where you swap it with the rook, which Mickey has done. And, a bit of a break in the centre here. But I'm not sure where Donchenko's king's going to go, because if it goes kingside as well, there'd be a pawn, that one on the right-hand side, that black pawn, which is guarded by the black rook, which Mickey can just grab.
Yeah, and we see that Mickey broke through in the center and now makes a trade of pawns. And it's all going to be about whether Mickey can accelerate the play. And we saw some hesitation there from Donchenko, and he actually captures that pawn back with the queen.
And I expect there could be a rook coming to the middle. No, a knight comes in, attacking the queen. Another nice move. White has a bit of initiative here. White has a safe king. White is putting a little bit of pressure on Donchenko's position. The time situation also favours Mickey at the moment. He's keeping his cool very well, as the heart rate says, and he's going for a bit of an attack here. The knight jumps into the position. Can Black castle queenside next move? Well, not yet, but he's still got that king stuck in the middle of the board. He does
have that king stuck in the middle, and we see Michael pause there because he's wondering whether he can actually play some explosive moves like knight takes pawn. But instead, he decides to build up his position, introduce the rook into the game, and there we see Alexander Donchenko. He is worried. He is in full focus mode because it's all about survival here.
He's playing well, though, Donchenko, in what looks like a difficult position. He's getting some exchanges. This is a very crafty move from Mickey because he's now pinning that knight down. The black knight can't now move because you'll lose the queen. The rook will come up and take the queen. So this is a bit difficult to deal with here, but how does he deal with this one? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, he presumably has to step away with the queen because otherwise White will lift up the b-pawn 2 squares and attack the knight. And there we see the shake of the head from Donchenko, and instead he secures that critical B4 square. But still, Mickey's pieces are lifting towards the king, and suddenly those two knights, they are jumping around, sniffing at the f7 pawn, and that's why Donchenko initiates a trade, and there's a knight that's up for grabs, but there's no way that Donchenko can take it because there was a nasty threat against that f7 pawn.
Look at the bar, though. It's really all the way in White's favour. He now makes an exchange, and I think he's going to win a pawn here. The rook attacks the queen and wins the pawn. That means that Mickey is in a great situation. He's a pawn up with the initiative. It also looks to me like Black's king could be a target. White's knight is such a beautiful piece. It is a spider. That is Mickey's nickname. In the middle of the board, controlling so many squares. And, okay, well, Black's won the pawn back. Was that a mistake by Mickey? That looked like an error. And I'm surprised that he gave that pawn away, because also Black's bishop is very, very strong.
But this was the idea. This was the whole thing. Now he removes and attacks the defender on the f8 square, that rook. And if that rook moves, then the queen can come and take the pawn. But Mickey says no, he doesn't want to take a pawn with check.
This is a very messy position, but Donchenko's time is so low at the moment. He's got 17 seconds left against Mickey's 44. The material now is pretty even. The position is pretty even. I think Donchenko has done a great job of defending so far. Can he keep up this brilliant defensive play? I would probably assess this as dynamically equal.
What's happening here? Okay. There was some tactics there on the board.
He's lost the rook.
He's lost the rook. Mickey blundering.
Oh, no.
And now the rook can take...
A big mistake by Mickey there. He didn't see a check from Donchenko. He had a lot of time there, and he's lost a whole rook. It was looking so good for Mickey, but he dropped a whole rook there, Jovanka.
Yeah. And there you can see Mickey muttering and handshake, and Donchenko takes the first point. Oh, what a bittersweet, well, not even sweet in it. There's nothing.
Sweet for Donchenko.
It is sweet for Donchenko. I mean, but we have to, well, basically give big credit to Donchenko, who defended resourcefully.
Yeah, the game seemed to be going in Mickey's favour for most of play there. He got a good position out the opening, got a good middle game. He had a time advantage, but Donchenko kept finding very accurate defensive moves, and it's so hard to defend when the pressure's against you a little time, but he did that time and time again. Here are some highlights. That looked like a good move there.
That was an excellent move from Mickey. And here you see Mickey at his finest. You know, he's building momentum. He's introducing all his pieces. Every single one, there you go, is headed towards the Black King. And it really did look at this point like Donchenko was at shaky ground.
It did indeed. And here we saw that Mickey was a pawn up, but he started to make some mistakes here. He let Black win that pawn, which it now takes the queen there. You didn't need to lose that pawn. Every little unit is important in this game. You can't just give them the way, you know. It's you got to be a bit of a capitalist. What am I trying to say? Capitalist. That's the one.
you got to look after the little guys. And here comes the final moment where Mickey spots a tactic but overlooks this little nifty maneuver from Donchenko, giving a check, and this check protects the rook on the d8 square, and Mickey just blunders a whole rook.
That's probably one of the biggest blunders we've actually seen so far in this competition. I mean, it was a bit of a hidden check there. His idea looked quite clever at the time because he was attacking that rook, but Black's queen did a double roll there. It checked and it defended. So he's now in a must-win situation. Mickey, I don't think his heart rate's going to be 60, 70 now. Surely he's going to be... Will it hit 100? He's very cool, but he's got to win with the black pieces to get an Armageddon game. There's no other result that will do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Mickey now in a must-win situation, but Donchenko, he is such a talented individual. You know, he was actually handpicked by the German Federation when he was a youngster to be a tremendous talent. They nicknamed these talents the German Princes.
Yeah, and Mickey, 62 heart rate already, so he's managed to calm himself right down. Can Donchenko hold it together? And let's remember, having the white pieces is an advantage because you get to move first. You might be able to steer the game into the kind of positions you want. What does Donchenko want? He wants something very safe. He doesn't want to give much away. So we start with the Queen's Pawn opening, and Mickey plays his normal setup, which, okay, it's the Queen's Gambit Catalan variation now.
It is, but this is a very solid opening for white. And Donchenko, very good player here. I mean, he absolutely destroyed me when I played this opening against him with the black pieces. And there we see a trade of bishops. But the problem is that this is a very solid opening for both white and for black, and black is really dependent on having great pawn structure, and it's whether you can withhold the storm from white. And Mickey actually playing a clever move.
Yes, I mean, the good thing about black's position at the moment is he's a pawn up. He does have an extra pawn. That is part of the opening strategy from white, because white gets a bit of a better centre. Maybe black's knights can be kicked around, but this last move seems very clever. That pawn in front of the rook is getting ready to move, so white defends that square by developing a piece here. Mickey still a little bit up on time, and again he prepares that move by just shuffling his pawn, so the pawn in front of the black rook really wants to come forwards.
And this is a thematic antidote. You lift your knight to the centre, you exchange a set of knights, and then the pressure remains.
Still a pawn up though. If he can hold on to that pawn, it would be great news. But I don't think he will. Lots of exchanges happening, lots of wood being chopped on the board.
And here we have, do you see, three pawns.
Wow.
On the C line.
And 3 pawns is a lot of pawns.
It is a lot of pawns. It's not often that you see that. And white has a very comfortable static advantage. And by static, it means he's got good pawn structure. They're working together. And Mickey needs to activate his light squared bishop. And remember, Mickey also is in a must-win situation, so he needs to balance out this bad pawn structure by activating the pieces. Ooh.
Yeah, isn't
there a rook move? A rook can attack the queen, and look at that. There's a pawn in the middle of the board that can fall off.
Maybe the knight then jumps in, or some tactics there possibly, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, well, Mickey goes for another idea, and this move is aiming to unleash his bishop. If you look at Mickey's bishop, it's the only piece still sleeping. It's still at home there, tucked up in bed. It's a lazy piece, that one. Get the lazy piece out of bed. And I think he's going to aim to fly that bishop as far as it can go towards white's king. And white's king, because there are pawns on black squares, it makes the opposite squares weak, the light squares. Mickey has a light square bishop. This is going to be his chance to create something. Still, I must admit though, I'm liking Donchenko's position. It seems like he's got exactly the kind of position he'd be happy with. Not too much risk, a nice stable kind of position, not too many tactics here. But Mickey is famous for his positional play. Can he turn on the heat here?
Yeah, he's going to have to turn on the heat. No other choice about it. The problem for black is that ideally he wants to lift up the rook and swing it across to the right side of the board. But unfortunately, that's not really possible. So Mickey just concentrates on developing the bishop, attacking the queen. Donchenko, now he's less than 1.5 minutes on the clock. His queen is under fire. It needs to move. Could it grab some pawn? But Donchenko says no, let's go for a queen trade. This is a really good strategy. If you're worried about your king, trade off queens and you can neutralize the threat. 9 times out of 10 recommended by plumbers.
Not the kind of plumbers I've had in the past.
And there you can see queens have left the board.
And we have that exchange of queens, and again we talked about this yesterday, the more pieces that get exchanged, the nearer to a draw the game becomes, and a draw is going to suit Donchenko down to the ground. It means he progresses. Mickey has a really tough job to do here. He's advancing his pawns on the king side. This is a good strategy. He needs to open up some lines. Ooh. Maybe his pawns can do that. I expect he'll take that one, and swing the rook around.
Yeah, he has. Ooh, and look at that. You just saw the bar just move a little bit into the white side, and you can see black has a small advantage there. And something that will be a huge factor now is that both players, well, now Donchenko is under the 1 minute mark.
And Mickey has to get rid of this knight. The knight comes away. I'm liking Mickey's chances more now. He's an expert in this type of position. He's a brilliant positional player, and he's really good at the end part of the game, the ending. The bishop I like in the middle of the board, but, you know, he's still got a lot of work to do. He's got to win this game. Donchenko under 1 minute now. Remember, if the clock gets to 0, you lose. And what's he going to play? He backs up his pawn there by that little rook move. The king is very important in this part of the game, so both players using their king very well here.
Yeah, but definitely. And Donchenko 47 seconds, and there we see Mickey doing some maneuvering, which is often a good idea. You make your opponent stop and think and ask, what are you planning? And then you wait until the clock is less than 20 seconds before you make your move.
And I think there was a big threat. The bishop was actually in a situation where it could have been trapped there, so the black king needed to give that bishop an escape square. I think Donchenko there also wasn't sure about what to do, just moving his king backwards. But the emphasis is on Mickey. He needs to do something. He can't just sit around and wait. He attacks the pawn. The rook wants to grab the pawn. White defends the pawn, and now his king comes the other way. I think he's got to use that pawn next to the black king to try to dislodge White's knight, and he does. He moves it forwards. There's a big threat here. The pawn is threatening to check the king and win the knight. The king has to run away.
And there you see the knight being pushed to the bottom row, and Donchenko maneuvering the knight, and you see how quickly he's making the moves. It's only 25 seconds left on the clock, and the pressure is on because Mickey has made his breakthrough on the B line.
Brilliant play from Mickey so far. He's pressurizing White's position. Both of those black rooks are aimed at that little pawn. He takes the open file for the rook. Rooks work very well on open lines as they go in straight rows. Can you get the rook in? The rook comes in, attacking White's knight. The white knight is now defended. Again, Donchenko is doing an excellent job of defending. How is Mickey going to break through here?
He's piling on the pressure. Look at that. The c-pawn has fallen, and he wants to line up both his rooks on the second row. And Donchenko, well, he has less than 10 seconds on the clock. He does get a 2-second increment, but it's really not that much.
And he's really low on time there, and Mickey's rooks are rocking and rolling there. It looks really good for Mickey, but can he put the ball in the back of the net? He just attacks the rook. He's got to use those rooks to get around towards White's king. He attacks the knight again. 7, 6, 5, 4. Whoa. Just in time, but that looks like a very dodgy move. Can you take the knight with check? Maybe it's a brilliant move.
I think it's a brilliant move.
With 1 second on his clock.
I know. I mean, wow. What a great move. And there, well, Mickey also finding the resources. But look who's king. It's going to be White who's actually win because...
I don't know.
No, it's not checkmate because the bishop is a great defender. But it's so close. 2 seconds. And, okay, now we're seeing a rook trade and... Well, Donchenko making those moves with just seconds left on the clock.
And Mickey has these 2 connected passed pawns. They look very strong to me. If you can get those passed pawns moving up the board, you have great winning chances. Get the king in, get those pawns going. White has what we call a pass pawn. That means an unobstructed pawn. You've got to, in the end game, get your pawn to the other end of the board, make it a queen. White's trying to do that, but black gets his rook behind the pawn. It's a race situation.
And, well, you can just see that Donchenko is shaking and Mickey getting his rook behind the pawns. This is excellent strategy from Mickey, and now he just has to advance his king. There's going to be checkmate threatened. There's no way that Donchenko can survive this.
Brilliant play from Mickey there. Look at those pawns. They're like space invaders. Do-do, 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 do. Can you do some sound effects there? And they're going to become a queen, and Donchenko resigns. Mickey takes it to Armageddon. Look at Donchenko's body there. He's just crumbled. It was such a tough game, that one.
Yeah, it was. Well, it went to the brink, didn't it? We saw both players be nervous there. And it looked like everything was going in Donchenko's favor. He had a very solid opening. But in the end, Mickey showed his class.
He did, and it was a very tough game. But the opening started with Mickey playing a very interesting strategy. He needed to win this game, but he did not play a tactical, aggressive opening. He actually played an opening where he's like, I'm just going to play my normal stuff. I don't care. I mean, even if you're a little bit better there, I trust in my ability to outplay you later on. You know, he was a finalist in the World Championships, Mickey Adams, so he has a great understanding. Yeah. And maybe he's using that experience as well. He has years on Donchenko, many more games he's played, and I guess he's using that to play for his strengths, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has the nickname of the Spider, and it's because he likes to play with a very refined positional sense, I should say. And it's all to do with putting your pieces, putting your pawns on good squares, have them connected and have them harmonized together.
And we're now going to have, well, very shortly, this Armageddon, but let's just have a look at the final stages. It was a very exciting game here. I mean, we went all the way to the end, pieces getting chopped off all over the shop there. Donchenko shaking a little bit there, obviously a bit nervous, and this was a brilliant idea that Mickey played. He went to get the last pawn, and we're 50 seconds away from
Armageddon. Well, the players are going to have to channel their inner Bruce Willis if they want to survive, because it's do or die time, and whoever has the white pieces will be in a must-win situation.
That's right, and let's just remind everyone of the rules. This is just one game left to decide who goes home and who stays in. Our beautiful studio, all getting ready for it now. White has to win. White has 5 minutes, but there's no added time, so you've got to play a little bit quicker. Whatever happens, it's just on this game. There's a lot of money at stake. There's progression in the tournament. Their nerves have got to be at maximum. I expect especially Donchenko. Can he bounce back from that rather horrible loss he just had? Donchenko with the white pieces.
Yeah, and he's opened up with an opening called the English, and Mickey...
Bit cheeky.
It is a little bit cheeky. Maybe it's like poetic justice. Anyhow, Mickey just making some calm moves there on the wings.
And this is a setup that Mickey often plays against the English opening. There's loads of different openings you can play. They all have different names. You can always research them, get better at knowing what you're supposed to do. And this is all pretty standard stuff at the moment. The real battle will happen a bit later on. White getting quite good centre of pawns there, but Black moving his pieces around towards White's king. So there could be a potential attack against White's king later on. Donchenko has picked up the pace. He needs to do this at this time rate, and a pretty standard structure still we have here.
I have to say, but Donchenko is doing all the right things. There's a lot of tension in the position, not that many piece trades. The position is definitely far from simple, and he will be able to utilize that extra minute on his clock way more effectively when the situation is like this.
And I do like the way it's gone for Donchenko. He has this open line for his rook. Look at White's rook on that open file. Mickey trying to get an open line for his rook. It's so tense, this game. Still, I would prefer White, but Black has this solid structure. Black, remember, only needs that draw here. Donchenko slowing down. He doesn't want to slow down too much. He moves his other rook into the center of the board. Both players looking a little bit more nervous now.
Definitely, because it is Armageddon.
Is there a blunder here?
There is a blunder. And you just saw the bishop come and pin the queen and the rook, and Mickey has netted some material. And you can see that the black color dominates on the evaluation bar. That means one thing: Black is winning.
That was a very nasty turn of events for Donchenko. the black rook comes in, but I think this is another blunder because Mickey has to give his rook up for that strong piece, and now the material is back to equality again here. There's a nasty trick here. Oh, white avoids the trick. The black knight was threading a big check there. He can still come in with check, but Mickey decides to try starting an attack against white's king here, using Harry the H-pawn. They both look so focused, don't they, at the moment? I
know, and judging by those two mutual blunders, I think nerves. They are very nervous, and I can feel it here in the studio, and we're on a different level.
I don't think you get anything else like this in sport, where you have one game so quickly and you can't make any mistakes, and it will eliminate you if you make the littlest of errors from the competition. The gladiators' battle of the mind. White moving his knight into the center, a very good idea, but Mickey moves his rook to an open line. What's he going to do now? He pushes on the king side.
Yeah, he's trying to soften up those pawns there. And Donchenko also reacting in a very standard way, just keeping the position closed. And in terms of clock times, Donchenko, well, his time advantage has been whittled away to just roughly 20 seconds.
And anyone could win this game. It's so tense. Nothing has been decided yet. The time is getting lower and lower here. White now has a weak pawn, which the black queen is aiming against in the center of the board. Donchenko will have to defend this somehow. Looks like he's going to move his queen to defend that pawn and also attack one of black's pawns. That queen attacking the black pawn on the right-hand side. Black's rook, though, comes in. The black pieces are starting to gain some space here.
And talking about space, you see Donchenko lift up his pawn and march it forward. This is a very aggressive move and perhaps signals even more pawn advances. And Mickey now taking a pause because he has to work out a good line of attack.
And they're now under half their time. They've only got 2 minutes left. The rook dives straight into white's position there. And the white knight is pinned. White moves his queen away from the black bishop, and Mickey slowing down a little bit. That's never a good sign in Armageddon. You've got to keep the pace up. As soon as you slow down, it means you might not be finding the right moves. The black knight very bad. Okay, he captures that one. That's probably to bring the black knight to a better square. And the black knight comes in. What a tactic that is. Offering the knight. If you capture the knight, the black queen comes forwards. It attacks the rook and also lines up against white's king. That is one hell of a move there.
That is one hell of a surprising move. You could just see the shock in Donchenko's face and shaking his head. But he does react in a very solid way. He just reinforces the control of the light squares. And Mickey now lashing out, attacking the rook.
Ooh, I
don't like it because look at that. The D pawn is going to start marching. What's to stop it from, like, the rook coming one square, defending, and oh, hang on a second. There's a knight coming into F3 check. There's a big threat on the board.
Oh, there is. This position is so complicated. It's got really tactical. All of a sudden, white's pawn 2 squares away from becoming another queen. If it lands, if it touches down, it will win the game for Donchenko. But black has some threats. Can that knight come in? He moves it backwards. Oh. He plays it safe. Was there a winning idea there? Of it, well, maybe queen takes knight. I don't know. Too complicated the position. This is a safer approach.
Definitely a safer approach, and both sides banking on the fact that their pawns are going to reach the destination. And this position is still incredibly chaotic, and Donchenko is the one who has less time on the clock. Just over 1 minute, and what you see on the clock is what you're going to get. There is no increment in Armageddon.
And you can see Donchenko shaking a bit there when he'd be moving the pieces. I'd be shaking all over the place here. I wouldn't be able to hold a piece on any square because they are now, as Ivanka said, getting so short of time. Donchenko is defending, though. He really needs to get some activity. And Mickey's pawns, they're just marching up the board. This is how he won the last game. He had 2 pawns skipping down the board hand in hand, and they're doing the same again. The rook comes up attacking one of those pawns. You don't want to lose those pawns. How do you avoid that? The knight attacks the rook. Well, can you take the pawn now?
Well, that's what Donchenko is going to be calculating, but he has to do it quickly. We saw his heart rate there, 122, and it was flashing red. Oh, nice move from Donchenko, counter-attacking the black queen.
They both must be so nervous. I'm amazed their heart rates are not higher here. The black king all of a sudden looks very exposed as well. Donchenko, though, only 36 seconds. You don't get any added time. Mickey's queen is attacked by the white pawn. He's got to move it. Where's it going to go? It goes all the way backwards.
And does defend the B pawn, and Donchenko just attacking the H pawn. Oh, okay. And offering a queen trade now. And in view of the clock situation, it feels tempting to go for it, right? Just use the black knight as a blockader and then run with the pawns. But the position is still crazy.
But look at Mickey's time as well.
You cannot
Mickey
afford.
has no time. What's he playing? He's played a check. And now you've got to move now. It's just going to be a crazy finish. Keep your eyes on the clock. I'm not sure if Mickey has enough time here. He just doesn't seem to me to have that. Okay, that pawn is rushing down the board.
But it's going to get munched on, and okay, Mickey now in. Oh, well, this is good news for Mickey because the position is very safe for him. He can't really lose this. And
lose on time.
He can lose on time. Okay.
This is the problem. Mickey has a great position, but he only has 7 seconds left. I think he's going to get flagged here. And what that means is I think his time is going to run out. He just doesn't have enough time to survive this position. This is going to be heartbreaking. He's got 1 second and he's lost on time. That is absolutely heartbreaking for him in a position you would never lose if you had more time. But important part of Armageddon, and Donchenko at the end picked up his pace and he improved his time handling there to win the game. But what a painful way to get kicked out of the competition. It was really nice to see Mickey congratulate his opponent at the end there, because that's his last move of Armageddon.
Yeah, and as you said there, Simon, heartbreaking stuff for Mickey to lose on time in a position where he should never lose at all. I mean, that's very unfortunate. But the players did treat us with a rather wild, chaotic Armageddon. There was tactics galore, and here was a brilliant move from Mickey.
Yeah, this was a great move. The knight coming in. It was one of the most exciting games of chess I think we've seen in any of the Armageddon series. Is this one. It was going to and fro. Both sides had chances, and this is where Mickey just spent too much time. He kind of forgot about the clock here. He found a good plan. He did exactly the right thing to consolidate his position, but he spent too long finding it. And you know, it's all right to find the right ideas, but you've got to find them quickly as well. And at the end here, the important factor was just the clock. And as long as white keeps his rook on the board, which he does, and he's moving a bit quicker there with the hands, this was key. Maybe they should train by quick hand movements or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what the technique is, you actually put the rook really close to the clock, and then you just make small movements.
Yeah, that's all you needed to do. You know, maybe learn a bit of kung fu, Bruce Lee style. You know, that's what you need to do in Armageddon, just to get, you know, just to do it right, I think, because if you can move and press the clock, then that's a big advantage. And at the end there just wasn't enough time to do that, and the clock was the deciding factor after all. So,
in the words of Dr. Strangelove, you have to harness the power of time.
Nice. And we do, I believe, have an interview now with Mickey, the loser of that game. So we'll go to Sonia and Mickey there.
Yeah, we're here with Michael. That was a tough match. I'm so sorry. How do you feel?
Yeah, I just didn't play well today. I think it's fair to say. Yeah, it was pretty random. I think someone had to win and someone had to lose, and I don't think either of us made a strong claim. So, yeah, I mean, the finish is what it is, yeah.
Okay, can you tell us something about the key moments of the games?
Well, first game I just had a very good position, and I just kept on blundering on my pieces, and then I lost a rook, which was sort of the end of it. Second game, well, I mean, in general, I think he was just trying to make a draw, and somehow somehow ended up winning this end game, but it wasn't very convincing. And last game, okay, I mean, again, I had quite a bad opening, but after that I was, in general, a bit in control of the game, and I just lost on time at the end. But okay, it was clear. No, I mean, I just used too much time at some moment, because I actually was ahead on the clock, but...
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the tournament is over for you. Do you have any plans in Berlin still, or what is your next tournament?
I'm actually back in Germany for Dortmund Open. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see. Maybe go to the bar.
Okay, thank you so much and best of luck. We go back to the studio with Jovanka and Simon.
Thank you, Sonia. And we're here in the studio with Alexander Donchenko, who just won a very hectic match against Michael Adams. So talk us through everything.
Well, I believe the first two games were actually, let's say, they had decent chess content. In the first game, I felt like I got exactly what I wanted, a fighting position, and it was complicated throughout. I felt he actually played really well, and I was probably worse somewhere. In the end, it was decided by one move blunder. He blundered a rook, and to be honest, I did not see it beforehand, so it was a bit lucky on my part, but that's how blitz is. And okay, in the second game, I thought it's enough to just hold and play it safe, but as usual, in blitz, it's not so easy to basically take away all life from the position, and he did a very good job. He was always up on time as well, basically throughout the whole match, and eventually I cracked in some defense. So I think that was honestly maybe the best game quality-wise, the second one. And of course, well, when we played Armageddon, I chose white beforehand because, well, I know that first of all, Armageddon games do not end in draws, never, because there's no point in them ending in draws. So I might as well take the extra time. And there I thought actually I got a pretty good position out of the opening, but then I blundered an exchange, and he blundered it right back with this F4 idea that I had. Still, the position was pretty unclear, and it was very safe to play for him, so he played really fast, and we were about equal on time. But I think the critical moment was when I pushed my pawn to d6 and played f5, and I played queen e4. We were both at about 30 to 35 seconds, and I saw this rook h3 quite fast that he played, and that I have to go king g1. I thought I'm probably better here, but I'm not sure how it is to win this position. But when he started thinking for like 10-15 seconds about rook h3, that's when I decided that I will not win this game on position, because there's simply not enough time to win this game on position. Even if I win the knight for the pawn, it's going to take forever to actually win the game. So I decided I will play for time. There's nothing else to it.
And we saw that you really changed gear there. So at that point, you sort of realised that you had to change gear. And we can see the heart rates of both of you as well. And yeah, I think 133 is not too high when there's so much stress going on, right?
And when you only had seconds left on the clock as well. I mean, 133 is one of our lowest. Yeah. Actually, in those kind of situations.
I believe I already did this heart rate monitoring once on the Isle of Man tournament, and I also had one of the lower heart rates. To be fair, though, I felt really excited during the Armageddon game, and also during the Blitz games. So, well, the heart rate doesn't lie, but it doesn't reflect how I felt at the board at all.
We can show the brackets now, and this is where the tournament situation. So you have progressed. That must be a great relief to get through to the next round. You now get a bit of a break, and you're either going to be playing Jordan or...
No. He's going to be either Richard Rapport or Maxime Vacher-Lagrave. And have you ever played any of these two people?
I have played against Rapport, I think, quite a number of times in classical chess. I don't have the greatest score, but okay, he's a world-class player, and let's say I scored some draws, and it's not completely lopsided. I think I have only one game against Maxime. That is from Vaikanze 2 years ago, and I lost that one, but I was winning in that game. It was not a great tournament for both of us. And I don't think I've played either one particularly much in Rapid or Blitz or online anywhere.
Can we expect some more chaos on the board?
Definitely, yes. I would very much prefer to decide the game in a different manner than playing for time in this situation, but this is what this Armageddon format is unfortunately about. Sometimes you have to make these calls and live with them.
Chess is brutal and beautiful at the same time. Thank you very much, Alexander, and good luck in your remaining games.
Thank you very much.
And time to mention our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, profile on FIDE.com, access to a pro chess community, official online ratings and titles, all recognized by the International Chess Federation, prize money tournaments, and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
Yeah, very exciting first match, but we're now moving to our second match, and we have another nail-biter lined up. We have Jordan van Foreest, and he's the young Dutchman, against Matthias Bluebaum of Germany. Both young players, both exceptionally talented, and they've played together 6 times, I believe, in the past, and it has favoured Matthias with a plus score.
And, well, we'll find out today who will make that early exit. But first, let's have a look at the stats. And Jordan van Foreest, 24 years old, became a grandmaster at 16 years old. He's the second strongest chess player in the Netherlands. He also won Tata Steel in 2021. And chess has frankly been in his blood for centuries. His family are all chess players. And not just his family, but his great-grandfather as well. And let's hear more from Jordan in his own words.
My name is Jordan van Foreest, 24 years old. I'm from the Netherlands. I've been playing chess since the age of 6 years old when my father taught me the rules. And I would say I really started to pursue a chess career, or started to get into it, when I, by accident, won the Dutch Open Youth Championships under 10. It was my first success, and I went on to play a lot of chess after that. I remember when my father told me the rules, he gave me a book, and he said that if you complete the book, we will have a typical Dutch drink, a chocolate milk, in a cafe. And somehow for me that was like the reason to really finish the book as quickly as possible. And I learned the rules basically by myself, played some games with my father, and yeah, I got the prize.
So the secret there seems to be chocolate milk. I wonder if there's a chocolate milk hanging there ready for this one. But his opponent is Matthias Bluebaum, who is a very strong grandmaster at the age of 18. He's only 26 years old, and he won the European Championships in 2022, which is a really hard feat to achieve. He qualified here online, and let's hear more about him in his own words.
My name is Matthias Bluebaum. I'm from Germany. I'm 26 years old. I started playing when I was 6 years old, and my father and my older sisters were playing chess, so that's how I got into chess. Everyone likes to do what they are kind of decent at, so I just enjoyed playing chess, and it was always going kind of decently. Actually, took very long time till I considered doing it professionally. It was never really an option when I was growing up. I just basically stumbled into it. I got better, and at some point I started to feel like I can at least try to do it professionally. I'm usually doing quite well when there's something at stake, but even though I'm very nervous usually, but somehow I manage to very oftentimes get the needed result if there's something at stake, but I'm not sure if it's a special skill or just luck. I don't know. When I became European champion, I was happy, but it's always like you're happy for like 2-3 hours, and then you realize, okay, life goes on, it's not changing too much.
Well, he'll have to use his special skills if he wants to defeat Jordan van Foreest in today's matchup, and we are less than 1 minute from the start of play. This one is going to be so exciting. We have Jordan, who is a very creative player, and then we have Bluebaum, who is much more of a positional technical player.
Yes, and that's it. It's a clash of styles, really. You have this safe style of Bluebaum versus the kind of maverick style of Jordan, and Jordan's just got to take him down into the deep, dark Van Foreest to win this game. That joke never gets old. It does actually a little bit, but I'm going to keep saying it, Ivanka. Why not, you know?
As the inventor of that joke, I approve.
Thank you. And they have 8 seconds until the first game. Jordan with the white pieces. And what's he going to play? Is he going to whack out some crazy stuff or start normally? Well, a normal first move.
Okay, and already I'm approving of Matthias' opening choice, picking the opening called the Caracan, an opening that I especially like, and now developing the light squared bishop. Ooh. Jordan also playing a very trendy move, which is to pick up the H pawn and try to chase down the light square bishop. Now those bishops will get traded, and well, choice time. You can either block the pawn like that, or you could have actually given a check with the black queen to the king.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't now.
Pretty standard opening stuff. We see them playing in these matches because of their experience, the start moves very quickly. What you've got to do in the opening, do all the principles, but also try to get a position that you like playing. So we'll see Ivanka likes this opening with the black side. I quite like it with the white side because white has a bit more space, but it's kind of personal preference, really. And Jordan keeping the queens on there, which seems like a standard idea.
It is a standard idea because white generally has played all these kind of weird moves in order to gain like this attacking potential there on the king side, on the right side of the board, and Jordan being forced actually to maneuver his knight. Now the question for Matthias is whether he should just spring forward with a knight on e7 and put it to f5, which is a very standard developing idea, and black's plan is just simply to develop the pieces, and when you can, just chip away at white's pawn center, and that chipping has begun.
Yes, white's king though gets safe with that last move. It gets it tucked away, this castling move where you get your pawns in front of it, and black is just still needing to castle his king. On the other hand, black's now got all his pieces into the game. He's got quite a nice center with the black pieces. White getting a foothold with that last move to move his knight to the middle of the board. You want to put your knights in the middle. Generally, that's where your knights are best placed. But I don't know where the black king should go. Again, we saw this issue in the last game for black. Black's king wasn't really safe wherever it moved to. And I feel this could be the problem for black in this position. If it does castle, he's pushed the pawn a little bit far there, which could be a target.
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. And big threat on the board. White was threatening to lift the b pawn 2 squares forward, and now we see a trade of dark squared bishops. And I agree with you there, Simon. It's not very comfortable for black at the minute because it's really unclear where you're going to put the king. And Jordan offering a trade of knights. Big question here. Do you capture, try to simplify the position, or do you try to solidify what you have on the right side?
And that white knight is sitting very pretty in the middle of the board. It's very nice having a knight like that, just dominating a lot of different areas, because again, chess is based on a battle, and when you're in the middle of the battlefield, you can go forwards, backwards, to the sides as quickly as need be. Last move I like as well, white gaining more space, and maybe the white rook can now come up behind that pawn and attack black's queen. That would be a very interesting move, and he does play it. The white rook pushing the black queen backwards. Both players playing very quickly, very sensible moves also. Their heart rate's a lot higher than the last match.
I was going to say, hey, we did see the heart rates both flashing red. It means the players are under some stress. And someone whose heart rate has now just decreased is Matthias Bluebaum. And his clock, though, is ticking down. It's under 1 minute and 20. Ooh.
Yeah, he's got to pick up the pace. This is one of the problems for Matthias in the first match he had against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. He got himself a bit short of time on a regular basis. Jordan just moving his rook out of any danger there, and they're kind of just jostling about at the moment. Black's deciding that he's not going to move his king. He's going to leave it there. At the moment, that's okay, because it's got a lot of pawns. It's a blocked position, does not open lines. When there's many open lines, it's an open position. In a blocked position, your king is safer because you have many obstacles in the way of your opponent's pieces to get through to it. And Jordan tanking a lot of time now as well.
Yeah, he is, and his heart rate has gone up to 137. But Jordan has to come up with some ideas, because Black's plan is very simple. He just wants to maybe eliminate a set of knights, and then, as you say, kind of like reinforce what you have there. You go, trade of knights, and then once those knights have left the board, if White were to capture with a pawn, then the other knight would find a home on the f5 square. And look at that, there's Matthias offering another trade.
Yes, and this is, I think, going pretty normally for Matthias, but he's got to decide about his king at some point. That's the only slight problem I can see for Black. Will you really want to leave your king in the middle? You can only play with your knight, queen, and rook, those pieces on the other side of the board for a certain amount of time. And, okay, he's not castling. Probably wise not to castle still.
Yes, and instead he's going potentially pawn grabbing. Can he just grab that pawn on a5 with his knight?
He can, because queen g5 is met by rook g4, but he moves the rook into the middle. I think he could have grabbed the pawn, as you say. I think he should have gone a bit courageous there, but this is also looks like a very interesting move. The white pawn in the middle of the board is getting a bit surrounded by Black's pieces. They're both under a minute now. It's getting very tense. The heart rates are going up. We have an exchange. Is that white knight going to jump in? But can't Black just win a pawn now?
Black should absolutely win that pawn. I mean, Black's king is safe for now, and he needs to calculate very quickly and take a decision, and he does capture that pawn with the queen, and now it's just to get that king to safety.
If he can get the king safe, then Black is going to be doing very well here. He's a pawn up, but White is threatening to win the pawn in front of the Black queen.
Defend that.
Defends it.
Yeah, defend it. And there we see Matthias with 21 seconds to go. Okay, what is Black going to do? Finally, are we going to see the king castle? No, the king steps onto in the middle. Oh, hello there. That's a very ingenious choice. And now is the time for Matthias to centralize the rook, attack the queen, but instead he retreats the queen. Okay.
I mean, Black must be doing well, but the Black king is in a more dangerous situation. The evaluation bar is really in Black's favor, so he's getting rid of his one problem, his king. He's getting it in the corner where it should be as safe as it can be away from White's pieces. The time is also against Bluebaum, but you know, he's got that center. If he can get rid of the queens, it'll be quite an easy win for him, because he just pushed the pawns up the board. He's looking a lot more confident now, and look at Jordan's heart rate. It's getting ridiculously high. Call him an ambulance.
156, but he's doing all the right things. He's placing his pieces on active squares, and well, Matthias just doesn't have any time to calculate. This is just pure instincts.
It is, but Matthias has that extra pawn, and now he's moving his knight around. If Black can swap off the knights, he gets more exchanges. He wants to get to the ending. Once you have more material than your opponent, you want to get to the end, because your extra points, they count more, because you'll have that one soldier left right at the end of the game.
And take a look at Jordan's clock time. He's now ticked under 10 seconds. And, well, he pushes his pawn forward, and Matthias is just playing instantly.
And he's trying to get a passed pawn there at all stake, and I love the way that Black has speeded up his play. He was playing a lot slower, but now he's really picked up the pace. But keep an eye on the clock. They're both down to 10 seconds. White is throwing his pawns forwards. He's really trying to get a queen by just pushing and pushing. Does he have a tactic here, though? I think he could have gone queen takes rook or something like that there. And he plays another move, and this is also a great move, pinning the Black rook to the Black queen. This could be a killer. 3, 2, whoa! Just in the nick of time, but I don't know if it's going to help.
The tactics are aplenty. Take a look at that neat move from Matthias, retreating the knight, defending and attacking the rook at the same the queen at the same time. And 7, 5, 4, and Matthias has let Jordan have a killer board pawn.
And look at his disappointment. There comes a queen on the board. This is what you need at the end of the game. And Black is devastated with the way he's playing. You can see the disappointment there in his face and in his moves there. This is what chess is about. It's emotional. And he resigns. He was doing so well there, but he just crumbled when the time got short.
Yeah, he let that win slip away. But hats off again to Jordan for keeping the game alive and just inducing that panic from Matthias Bluebaum. And now Jordan taking the first game. Well, Matthias knows what he has to do. And let's have a look at some of the highlights, because that game had us on the edge of our seats.
As all the games here do, to be fair. They're so exciting today. And yeah, it looks like Black was doing well, Bluebaum, for a lot of the game. He played so well. And the other thing that I was impressed with was he picked up the pace, you know, when he needed to. I mean, he was short of time. He picked up the pace, but it was in the closing stages where Jordan just proved to be more tricky. And let's have a look here. This was the problem. Look at Black's rook. The Black rook can't move because of the queen and the time situation. They just got to bang out the moves. That was a crafty tactic, but again, Jordan just kept coming with the tricks. He's a big bag of tricks, that Jordan. Deep dark fan Foreest. he really does put the pressure on when it's critical. He's a specialist at quick chess, and the problem here was that White's pawn is 2 squares away from queening, and when it does queen, it's going to queen with check, and that rook supports the queen. The queen comes on the board. Black already knows that he's losing this one. You can just feel the disappointment there. You feel sorry for him, don't you, there? But yeah. It's a brutal game, and that's what chess is about. It's a gladiatorial battle of the mind. And it can be painful when you lose.
It certainly is painful when you lose. And we're less than 1 minute from the start of the second game. Matthias will have the white pieces and is now in a must-win situation if he wants to take the match to Armageddon. And he has to get rid of those emotions. He has to get rid of that disappointment, the anger, because you can only play good chess with a drop of emotion.
That's right. You gotta, I mean, it's a really good way to focus the mind chess, and it teaches many life skills, I feel, because you've got to control those emotions. You're going to be absolutely distraught now. You might be angry, but you've got to get rid of all those emotions or harness them. And these things happen in life as well. You know, you just got to harness your emotions into positive things. So a lot of lessons can be learned from these 64 squares that the players play on. And we now have the game about to start, and White must win to go to Armageddon. Anything except a White win means that Jordan goes through to the next round and Matthias goes home.
And Matthias actually choosing a very solid setup, and Jordan also reacting by getting the dark square bishop to the longest diagonal on the board. Very solid, very stable so far. But one thing we did notice in Jordan's match against Richard Rapport is that when Jordan was in that great situation where he just needed a draw, he got nervous and started making negative decisions.
Yeah, I can understand the nerves. Very normal reaction to have when there's so much at stake here. You know, you go through to the next round or you get knocked out. And there's a lot of money they're playing for as well. And it is a solid start to the game so far. If we have a look at the live board, the board they're playing on, White has a little bit more space. Those pawns are looking a bit more dangerous for White. So that's White's advantage, but it's only a very tiny, small advantage. And Black has a solid position, and that's what Jordan needs. He needs to have a solid position, keep the game stable to get the draw. But it's very hard playing for a draw. You play for a draw, you can often play a bit too negatively, and that's also something Jordan must avoid doing. Throws his knight into the center of the board there, though.
Yeah, and a kind of interesting fact that we just saw there was that both players started this game with high heart rates, both of them flashing red, and Matthias shaking his head. Is he still thinking about what happened
this is a
in
big
the previous
mistake.
game? No, he has to let that go. That's been and gone. And okay.
Big mistake there from, I totally agree. You lose a game, you've got to move on in life. You can't just linger on the negatives. Get over it, get to the next stage, and he's got to stop thinking about that loss. There's not much time to emotionally recover. You get on to the next game. He's got to concentrate on the position in front of him. He's still got a chance. This is how Ricky, in the last match, Ricky Rapport, that's how he knocked out Jordan, by coming back strong. Closing down the position there, White. So taking out a lot of breaks. And White still has an advantage here, I feel, because White's pawns are further advanced. White has a space advantage. Again, if we're talking about war analogies, when you have more territory, that is a positive thing. I'm sure anyone who's played Risk will know that. Ooh. And now White getting space on the other side of the board. So I do like White's position. Stop shaking your head. You're doing well, man. You're doing well. Stop shaking. Why is he shaking?
I don't know why he's shaking, but it does look like Jordan has to give up material now if he wants to survive this, because he could not retreat that bishop because the f-pawn would come and trap it. And there you see that Matthias has netted a pawn. This is all good stuff. Now he just has to consolidate his king side, where the white king is, because let's face it, there's a lot of air around the white king.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, White is a clear pawn up. Okay, I mean, Black might be able to cause some hassle here by, at the right moment, unleashing his bishop, but it is an extra pawn. And at this level, an extra pawn counts for a lot. So you've got to be confident here. You've got to play with that confidence. You've got a chance of getting it to Armageddon, a very good chance of taking it to Armageddon, and that's all you can go for at the moment. More pieces getting exchanged, but Jordan is one pawn down at the moment. The clock times, Jordan can be a little bit happy that he's up on time, but that's one of the only good things about his structure position here.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, White has all the space. I mean, the thing is, Matthias does have to control the dark squares. If he doesn't control those dark squares, then that black bishop is gonna be very, very dangerous. And ooh, nice pressure for Matthias on the c6 pawn. Now, what will Matthias do? He has to actually defend the pawn on b2 that's under fire. Step up with the rook, one square.
Well, he's moved it 2 squares forwards, going for the most aggressive move, and Jordan is now playing more like Jordan. He played a little bit too much for the draw at the start, but he's playing to open up lines now. He's much more of a tactical player who likes energy. He likes giving his pieces freedom to move. But I have to say, Matthias has done a great job of keeping those pieces out of the game so far. Okay, moves his rook up, creating a blockade there. Still an extra pawn for White, but there's a long way to go to convert this into a win.
Yeah, and this is a really nice strategy from Matthias. He's just simply saying, you know, Black controls one open line, I should challenge and on that line. And now we see Jordan lining up both rooks against the pawn on b4. So obviously Matthias must defend it, and he can't use all the time in the world to do this, because he's now ticking down to less than 45 seconds. That's not very practical.
No, White has a great position. One of the good things about White's position, look at White's bishop. Where is White's bishop pointing at? It's pointing at the pawn by Black's queen. And that bishop will point to that pawn forever and forever. There might be...
There's some tactics, right?
There might be a tactic. I don't think it works, though, at the moment. The bishop defends the rook here. So far, I think it's all okay. And Jordan just has to wait, and he's got that time advantage as well. How is White going to break through here? I think White's got to do a bit of rearranging of his bits now, but he seems to have now at least got over that first loss. We haven't seen any more shaking of the head. Another problem that maybe White can have later on is that his king's a little bit weak. If I was White here, I'd really want to get the queens off the board, because if the black queen ever gets into the position, it can really cause the white king problems, because the bodyguards of the white king have wandered away from its protection there.
And, well, we see Matthias ticking to 22 seconds left. And, well, he has one job, and that is basically to keep control of the position as much as possible. And here comes the breakout. There is Jordan breaking through in the center. Remember, if Matthias loses control of the dark squares, it will almost be game over for Matthias.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried about the white king at some point. And there's the tactic which we mentioned before. That is a nasty tactic. If the white pawn takes the bishop,
10.
the black rook will take the white rook check. 7.
It's like 5, 4, 3.
Oof.
Oh.
But things are looking bad now for white. He's actually all of a sudden a pawn down. From being a pawn up, he's a pawn down in a must-win situation. Yeah, he's gone back to shaking again, and I might shake my head at this moment in time as well. Jordan could bring that bishop all the way around if he wants to, but he centralises his queen, and now he goes for a queen exchange. He's really just controlling the position now. The queen's come off. This must be pretty safe for black with that extra pawn, which he might lose, but it's opposite coloured bishops. Opposite coloured bishops nearly always end in a draw as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there we see Jordan just retreat the bishop. Now he's calmly advancing his pawns. I mean, there's no way that Jordan can lose this. And we see Matthias shaking his head once again.
Yeah, I can't see any way white can win this one. Remember, in the ending, you've got to get your pawn to the other end of the board, but only player who's going to get a pawn to the other end of the board is going to be black here. Black trying to exchange off all the pawns. If all the pawns come off, there's not enough material to checkmate, and it's a helpless scenario here. They can shake hands, agree a draw at any moment, but, well, that would mean that Matthias is out of the competition, and I can understand why he's shuffling on. He realises the position is the end, and here it is. This is the end, our only friend, the end. A draw agreed.
Draw agreed. 2 kings remaining and 2 gladiators in the studio, and there we see it. Jordan van Foreest is the one who wins the match, but Matthias Bluebaum is showing us yet again, you know, he is incredibly strong, but the clock is proving his downfall.
Yeah, you got a feel for him. He played very well in the first game, and in the second game he got a decisive advantage as well. But there was a couple of problems in the second game. This was where he was a pawn up. The problems weren't even necessarily the position. Let's remember, chess is a mental sport. It's a game where you have to be strong-willed, and you've got to jump back from, you know, bad things that happen. And I think that first game was just playing a bit too much on the mind. He did really well to win that pawn, but Jordan kept his cool so well and took his opportunity when it came up there.
Yeah, and there we saw this was the result of Jordan's little tactic. You know, he manages to win material, he manages to simplify the position into a game where there's absolutely no chance for Jordan to go wrong. Opposite colour bishops, the most drawish endgames around.
That's right, and I have to say, I think the loser's interview is going to be quite painful, but we'll have that soon. And the reason this is a draw at the end is after the last pawn is exchanged, white is only left with a king and a bishop, and okay, in this position, it'd be king versus king, and you can't win a game of chess when only the king's left, only the 2 hardcore pieces. The game is called a draw, because you can't checkmate, and checkmate is how you win a game of chess, not by taking the opponent's king. You can't do that. Not allowed.
No, not allowed.
Not allowed, no. And I think very shortly we will have that interview. Maybe it's ready now with the loser, and well, let's hope it's not too painful, this interview. Okay, well, if we can find the loser, I think hopefully he hasn't run away. We're getting it soon. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, Jovanka, I often cried when I lost a game of chess. Did you ever cry?
All the time.
All the time, yeah.
Chess is emotional.
It is.
And let's hear more from Matthias, who is with Sonia.
Hi, Matthias. You lost your match. I'm really sorry for you. How do you feel?
Just like a complete idiot. I mean, I was winning both games. I mean, I didn't deserve to be winning the second game. I played like a complete stupid moron, but okay, I still was winning, and I just blundered everything that was left on the board.
Can you tell us something about the key moments for you?
I don't know. I mean, like the first game, somehow he got counterplay, and I just blundered every single tactic that was in the position. So I don't know. Suddenly I lost, and okay, then of course already it's tough if you lose the first game.
Okay, maybe we talk about a little bit another subject. So you have two sisters who also play chess. Do you play chess together sometimes?
Basically never.
Never.
I mean, we used to when we were very young, but no, like in the last 10 years probably no single game or something like that.
Okay, now the tournament is over for you. What's next?
I'm playing the Open in Dortmund. That's next for me, and then World Cup.
Okay, thank you so much and best of luck.
Thanks.
We go back to the studio to Simon and Javaka.
Well, we're back in the studio and we have the winner of that very exciting match with us, Jordan. And one of the first things Jordan just asked us was, how high did my heart rate go? And it went pretty high. Do you want to talk us through the games there in the match? It was very exciting.
Yeah, I think, well, the first game was really crazy. Could have gone either way, basically. I lost the plot somewhere in the middle game. Then at some point I thought I got him I got the pin on his rook, but then he found some defense, but somehow in the rook endgame he stumbled and my pawns promoted, but it was really crazy. Could have easily lost that game as well. And seen by the heart rate, I got pretty nervous during that game.
We would have thought that, okay, your heart rate 171 there, which is pretty incredible. I mean, did you think it would go that high before this tournament? Do you think you're a nervous player or not?
I never played with a heart rate monitor on, so I usually don't get that nervous. But like when the tension, gets high and it's blitz game, I know sometimes my heart starts pounding quickly. Yeah, so I didn't know it would get that high,
Yeah, it's scary.
And talk us through the second game, because that was also quite shaky for you at times. Yeah.
I was in big trouble in the second game, of course. I completely blundered his idea of g4, trapping my bishop. So I had to go for basically a lost position. But, I somehow managed to set up a bit of a blockade, and he started to get low on time. And then finally he blundered a trick where I could regain the pawn. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was also a super tough game, of course. I mean, after g4 I didn't rate my chances very high of saving the game, but fortunately I managed. So all in all, I don't think the quality was very high, but when you're playing blitz, the mistakes creep in at sometimes.
And at what point did you realize that the match was yours?
Well, I had after I took on c5 and I regained the pawn, I had a pretty good feeling that I should be safe. And then, of course, we played on 50 more moves. Yeah. I think he played on out of spite. But, I mean, I already knew by that point that I was
Once
winning.
The queens were traded, you could breathe.
Yes.
Big sigh of relief.
And you can now relax a little bit because you're still in the tournament, which must be good news. You're feeling very happy about that?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to stay in Berlin a little bit longer, but now I secured my stay for at least 2 days more, which is important, Berlin is a fun city, so...
It is.
It is a very fun city.
Didn't want to leave yet.
Can we ask you... We'll have a look at the bracket as well. We'll ask you this question. You can see whereabouts your position, and you're going to be playing...
the loser between the match of Jan Krzysztof Duda and Vincent Keimer. So have you played any of these players before?
Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was going to play Donchenko. So interesting. Yes, I've played both of them many times. I would say I've played Duda a bit more often. He's just 1 year older than me, so he played the first time in 2015 in the World Junior Championships. Of course, ever since he's become one of the best players in the world, and maybe even better at blitz. I think he's top 3 in the world in blitz or something like that. So I have a lot of experience playing him, but not a great score. Vincent, I just played a few games, but never in blitz, I think.
And how are you going to enjoy Berlin then? Because you said you've got a couple more days. Have you got anything planned? Are you going to have a nice meal, enjoy some of the nightlife, or do a bit of tourist looking around?
I enjoy a little bit of the nightlife, enjoy all of those you named,
Everything. Take everything.
But how will you practice for your next match?
Just keep a fresh mind, I guess. Keep some energy,
Keep a fresh mind by enjoying the nightlife. That's
possible to do both?
Of course it is. Yes, you can tell us in your next match.
Okay, I'll let you know how fresh my mind was after the next match.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to see in Berlin, and that was a very exciting match there. So well done, Jordan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Van.
Yeah, congratulations. You kept us all entertained.
All right, great.
Thank you. And time to mention our partner, Kaspersky. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology. Oof. What a day. I mean, it's been a real roller coaster. We didn't quite know what was happening. I kind of felt like expect the unexpected.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of the most exciting days so far. We had that brilliant first match, which went all the way to Armageddon, where it went to the clock, and then Jordan fighting hard there, and bringing home the bacon. So some brilliant games of chess, and it's the first day where we have some eliminations, but we have tomorrow as well, and what to look forward to? Well, loads to look forward to. Look at these players. These are big names of chess. You've got Jan-Christoph Duda, one of the strongest players in the world, and he's playing against Vincent Keimer, who's a prodigy, a brilliant young player. That's going to be such an exciting match. Then what about the second match there, Ivanka?
Richard reports 2707, again, one of the finest minds in the world, playing against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who is one of the finest tacticians in the world. Has also been World Blitz champion in 2021. It's too close to call. I cannot pick a favourite.
No, really close to call. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see until tomorrow. And every day we get a little bit closer to finding out which two players are going to go through to the grand final. A bit of a sad day for us English today. We're not supposed to be biased, but we've lost our English friend. Oh well, it happens. And I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, it's been a good day. Yeah, definitely. And there'll be more tests coming your way, more thrills, more excitement. Same time, same place. Tomorrow. As always, tomorrow. See you later.